passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in! Touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jared Watson.
Hello and welcome, Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. On this episode, we can officially announce that we are a part of Waiting for Next Year. The team at Waiting for Next Year, you can find them at waitingfornextyear.com. For those of you who don't know about Waiting for Next Year, they're an independent website dedicated to Cleveland and Ohio State sports, owned and operated by Waiting for Next Year LLC. So there, it's official. They got together back in 2008, a couple of guys, three of them actually, who were doing blog sites on their own regarding Cleveland sports, decided to team up. And since 2008, so we're looking at 11 years strong, Waiting for Next Year has really made their stamp on Cleveland sports media in Northeast Ohio and around the globe. And we are absolutely proud to be a part of the Waiting for Next Year team. So looking forward to that. We will probably be referencing their articles often, and you will be able to find us on the Waiting for Next Year website, waitingfornextyear.com. Also, as always, you can find us at andyandjared.com or clevelandandbeyond.net. That's our site. That's where the podcast is located. And you can also download and subscribe via iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all that good stuff. I think Alexa, if you ask Alexa to play Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond, Alexa will play Andy and Jared and Cleveland and Beyond. If that's not working, email us. You can do that, andyandjared@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at CLE and Beyond, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. Also coming up in this episode, we're going to talk about Kareem Hunt finally making his first public statements. And he was baptized recently as well, with a couple of special guests showing up to support him. And let's all start the Gerald McCoy rumors. Let them start right now. He was released by Tampa Bay, and of course, the rumors are that he wants to play for a playoff team. Well, he might get his wish, especially if he ends up getting paid and coming to Cleveland. That is a possibility. The rumors are swirling. The Indians. Andy and I just watched them lose to the A's once again. That's their fourth loss to the A's this year. They've only won.
Good news, we only play them one more time.
Yeah.
We're done with them.
Well,
punt them.
I mean, at least they went 3-1 against the Orioles, but, you know, those are teams you expect them to beat. Jose Ramirez still struggling. I don't know what took him so long to bring Oscar Mercado up, but he looked good. And Trevor Bauer also still struggling. He had I don't know if I'd say an awful night tonight, but he gave up a few runs and hit a batter twice right in the same foot. Really annoying to watch what's going on with him, especially when he's putting more of them social media videos out again. I think my opinion is starting to turn back to what it was prior to his article in SI. And the Cavs, they introduce head coach John Beilein with a press conference. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. Andy has, so we'll talk about that coming up in just a couple of seconds.
Cleveland Browns.
Let's kick off. That was, I think we need to mention more .com websites. You know, andyandjared.net. Jared does a hell of a job reading all that stuff. If it was up to me, I would be.
I didn't read it.
Off.
That's all in my head.
Well, there you go. Let's kick it off with Kareem Hunt. You know, we've been talking about this for people listening to this podcast for a while. Kareem Hunt, I was interested to see when this was going to happen. I thought, for what it is worth, I thought they actually did a nice job.
Yeah.
I actually thought Kareem did a nice job. I thought he had a few uncomfortable moments that was going to be expected. But obviously, you know, that was to me the whole key takeaway this week, Jared.
So you're talking about in relation to Kareem Hunt stepping in front of the podium and answering questions, correct?
Giving a statement, reading questions. I listened to the whole thing. Here's the things you take away from his press conference. Number one, and it's been shown visually and through his through social media, that he is trying to make a difference in the community. He's doing it. People have been saying that he's doing this on his own, which is a good thing. He is trying to make the community better. Two, he really referenced many times how happy he is to be back in Cleveland. In fact, he was so happy to be back in Cleveland, he decided to get baptized again in Cleveland, which we'll hit it on here in a second. I think the other thing, though, and the other half of this, which got brought up more towards the middle and the back half was, Kareem finally got asked, like, hey, what really happened with you and KC? And he finally admitted midway through, Jared, like, I didn't tell him everything, quote unquote. So really, I take it as I kind of did lie. He also looked uncomfortable when he was mentioning these statements. And the other statement that I'm paraphrasing here that I thought was interesting from Kareem is he admitted it was really hard watching that video back. And you could tell he was really strained. You could tell he was stressed.
As he should be.
As he should be. What he did was terrible. And he looked very uncomfortable talking about it. He has not had any communication with the young woman. He made that clear as well. Again, Kareem was honest. He was raw. It doesn't make anything he did good or better. It's still bad. But as I mentioned on this podcast many times, I would never have made this move. But I will give Kareem Hunt credit. He's doing the right things. I give him credit. That is not an easy press conference, and he had to do it, and he stood up there and did it and answered every question. And I thought he answered it truthfully, which I thought was also obviously a good thing.
Andy, I got to tell you, for all of the pundits out there that want to say that he should reach out to this woman, that he should apologize to her, that he needs to talk to her, you are removed from this situation. You don't understand the nuance of what's going on. We don't know that this woman wants to hear from him, nor that she would. I mean, we don't understand the situation to its full extent. We do understand that Kareem Hunt did something awful that he should never have done, right? We've got that. We don't know the particulars of what led up to this incident, which could offer up some evidence that she would want nothing to do with an apology from him. She may, have said all of the terrible things that she said, supposedly according to Kareem, have said to him in that hallway. We don't know that situation. I don't like to hear when people play armchair quarterback in this situation and just say what Kareem Hunt needs to do and should do. I don't know that apologizing or that reaching out to this woman is the right move. I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't know that we should be crying and calling out for him to do so. There's still a lot that we don't necessarily understand in regard to the particulars of the incident. I only bring that up because I've heard it brought up a few times this past week, and I don't think it's fair to just force those things upon people. I will say this, though, like you said, about Kareem not feeling comfortable in regard to seeing this play back, looking uncomfortable in regard to his responses, because this is a very upsetting thing probably to him to look back on and embarrassing for him, right? We don't want anyone to ever have to sit there and ruminate over and over again about something that they did terrible if it's going to affect them in a negative way and make them feel even worse and possibly put himself in a downward spiral to make more mistakes in the future. I want him, just like I would want my own kid or any other relative or friend of mine, to be able to eventually pick themselves up, figure out their mistakes, find and follow a better path in life, make better choices, and show me over time that you have bettered yourself. I hope that is what Kareem is doing now.
Yeah, what I'll respond to one thing, I do think it's good he watched it. I think he needed to watch it.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I think he needed to, I think he also needed to answer that question about what happened with the Chiefs. Because, we're looking at it from brown and orange glasses. The Chiefs have every right, if you're a Chiefs fan or someone out there, to be upset. Because you lost a great running back. And by the way, the Chiefs did the right thing. You had to cut him. Had to cut him when the incident happened. You had no choice.
Absolutely.
And the Browns scooped up, and John Dorsey reached out to Kareem. Kareem also mentioned other organizations reached out, but as soon as Dorsey reached out, and that was going to be my final point, as soon as Dorsey reached out, his mind is pretty much made up when he discusses the press conference. You can tell Kareem has a huge connection to Dorsey, and you can tell through the words of Freddie and through the words of Hunt on, I think it was Thursday, he gave that presser. You can tell Kareem and Freddie have developed a relationship. The whole thing here about, the woman and whatnot, well, let's just say all that kind of stuff, whether he did or didn't, I think that's now privatized. That should be behind closed doors anyways.
Yep.
Because I don't know if the woman's comfortable with that. And at this point, she has not come back out. So I'm just going to leave that alone. But what I will say is I'm glad he watched it. I'm glad he realizes his mistakes. and I hope he continues this lane of positivity, because that only makes him and the team and the community better. So I hope that's what it is. I will say, as I was reading Chiefs message boards and I was reading other Chiefs blogs, I do understand why a Chiefs fan would be upset. The Chiefs fans did not take well to the Kareem Hunt press conference. There's a lot of backlash from it, and I can understand why. So, the one thing you need to remember here, too, there's going to be a lot more of this, I think, as the season goes along. I will say, though, from where we were when this first happened, Kareem and the organization has done a good job so far.
Can we say, Andy, and I know that, God, this sounds awful, of some of the shitty things that players have been accused of, have been found guilty of, have had video evidence going against them in relationship to, can we say that the way that this is being handled up to this point is the best we could have expected, and comparably speaking, better than some of these other situations and how they've played out over time? Is that something that the Browns organization can actually look at and this is, I got to be careful about this and be proud of, in a sense that all of the right things are being done and it doesn't feel overly contrived?
Not yet.
You think more time. And
they, honestly, Jared, and this is why the Chiefs fans are upset, the Browns had the easier half.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. They had the easier half, and they've got the upside at the end.
That's my point.
You're absolutely right.
And that's why I'm not saying.
I know.
I gotta be honest. I'm not saying this is a proud moment or a champion moment.
No,
they're
that's
doing
not.
They are doing the right thing, and it's going down the right path. And I will say, if this works out well, Kareem Hunt could really turn us into not a huge positive from what happened, but he can take a horribly negative moment into something as a learning experience and a better thing for everyone.
I want
everyone
who's listening to understand, I am genuinely coming at this from the stance of just a person who wants to see good things happen.
Of course, yeah.
I am not coming from, listen, Chiefs fans, if there's like one of you that ever listens to this, I swear to you, I am not coming to you as a Browns fan when I'm giving what could be misconstrued as praises.
Right.
They're not. I am just analyzing the situation as best I can as an observer in regard to the future processes for other players that will inevitably go down a path like this as some sort of blueprint to help and rehabilitate those who make mistakes. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be in regard to hitting a woman. It can be in any other capacity, because Lord knows players get busted for dumb shit all the time. And the only thing you can do as an organization, as a coach, as a GM, as a player, is look at yourself in the mirror, be honest to yourself and to others, and try to move on in a way that is better for you, for everyone else, for anyone involved. That's how I'm trying to look at this right now, Andy. If we're talking about week 10 and Kareem Hunt's back on the field, great. I'll be cheering my ass off at that point.
Of course.
I will reserve all of my judgment until then, but up until this point, this is what I'm seeing.
Oh, yeah, no. Again, so far, so good. There's my line. So far, so good.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will now, I'm glad this happened, because I think we needed to hear from Kareem, and I thought this was the right moment. Now, taking all this aside, the other thing that I really got out of this, though, is now all that aside, on the field, he definitely has a relationship with Kitchens.
Mm-hmm.
He and Dorsey obviously got each other's back.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I'm trying to remember, I'm probably missing out on some relationship that happened in the backfield, but I'll just say it, back in Biner and Mac, I mean, you have Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And that definitely got made into a vocal point, and I think it's fair. Now, look, this is April. Let's see what happens in October when Kareem Hunt joins them.
Exactly.
But you know what? Kareem made a point out of that press conference to talk about it. And I'm glad someone asked that question because I think it is Biner and Mac possibilities here if they both stay healthy. And again, that's what makes this team so exciting. You really do have a great running game and a passing game threat. And yes, Robinson still has to block well, and Austin Corbett's going to have to do his job. But you should figure if the offensive line stays healthy, I mean, Jared, all the parts and pieces are...
Andy, CBS, even without Kareem Hunt listed, CBS has the number 3 trio in the league right now as being Mayfield, Chubb, and Beckham.
Look, it's hard. I mean, from what I can tell, Callaway's going to be sick this year.
Yeah, haven't we heard? I know. Are we even there yet? Are we talking about that yet? Is that in the rundown?
Look, ready for this? I didn't want to put any of that shit in there. It's April and May.
And I said, let's not have a 3-hour podcast, and here we frickin' go.
Yeah. But I'll just say, I love to hear those early reports because that gets me excited.
I heard he is bringing such a new element to his game right now with explosiveness and a quickness.
Good.
And yeah, I wasn't even going to go there. I was going to save it, but Callaway, listen, Browns fans, I'm going to tell you right now, the rumor is Antonio Callaway is going to be an absolute beast this season.
Yeah, he's nasty.
All right. He's going to be a beast.
He's nasty. Let's
just hope that them hands hold on to that ball. That's all I'm saying. Catch the ball.
It's so many possibilities in this team. So many possibilities. But I thought that, I mean, look, I don't know. Do you really want to go down the Beckham road again and all these other things? I don't know. I think
I don't care about that. I don't care about OTAs. I don't show up.
Go back to previous podcasts.
Show up.
Go back. Okay, stop. Go back to previous podcasts. Listen to our opinions about that.
Don't get me pissed off again.
And I won't. And I'll talk about the Celtics assets later. But let's go to Gerald McCoy here for a second.
Yeah.
Because this is big news because it could affect the Browns. He got cut today by the Bucs. There's been all these false rumors, which I knew they were false, that they were going to trade for him. The Browns didn't need to trade for him.
Nope.
Look, it's already Odell Beckham's already put I think it was an Instagram post out there after Schefter put something out saying, "Come, Cleveland, one word, where will McCoy go?" It's been rumored. There's discussions happening. Look, the realistic viewpoint from everybody I've been hearing and listening to and reading, and it makes sense. McCoy's not going to be probably a starter. He's not going to get paid as well as he would on other teams. So is he going to take those things in account and play for the Browns? We'll see. It'll be interesting.
I mean, here's the deal. The beauty of it is he would be able to split up his workload. We know Ogunjobi needs a break. That interior defensive line really needs somebody like him to be on this team because we talked about it throughout the season about how guys disappeared in the middle of that defensive line, and I'm telling you, Andy, if we were able to let's go. I mean, you can spend a little money. I know that. I mean, I don't know what the numbers would be for a Gerald McCoy, but I do know that. Again, Schefter's talking about he really wants to play for a contender, and that puts it's. Oh my God, can you believe we're saying this? The Browns and the Patriots are two of the teams.
Saints, too.
He's looking at, of course, the Saints. And I have no idea how the Jaguars are thrown in there because I don't know. Well, they're improved.
Well, the Jaguars, let's not go down the Jaguars path, but look, they're the classic example. Look, if they get good quarterback play.
The Jaguars have been a quarterback away a few times over the past few years. They have.
And again, they have the talent. I don't like Doug Marrone as his personality is kind of blah, but I think he's a decent coach.
I have no idea how he ever got picked up after that. When I was at Syracuse back in 2010, he was head coach. It was very strange to see what happened.
Yeah. The whole thing was odd. I heard he's an odd guy. All that to be said, look, here's the point. If McCoy gets added to the Browns, you want to talk about, we talk about offense. Let's look at the defense now. Sheldon Richardson, Ogunjobi, Olivier Vernon.
Yeah, both
Myles
sides
Garrett,
of the ball, Andy.
And Gerald McCoy, including all your defensive draft picks you got, and you got Denzel Ward healthy. I mean, look, this team.
And it's not even just a defensive stop and hold defense. This is a takeaway defense, which will make the offense even more lethal.
They're going to be good. Look, if Gerald McCoy comes to the Browns, we don't have different expectations. But nationally, and it should be, you cannot, if you're a Browns fan, you cannot, if you sign Gerald McCoy and he somehow comes to the Browns, folks, you have to win 11, 12 games. Have to. This team is rotating out pros. Pros. Come on. Gerald McCoy's coming off the bench. My God. Wow. You're talking top level talent.
It's a lot, Andy. Like I try to stay reserved. I know some folks have like we've talked about. They've reeled it in a little bit and said, "Oh well, 9 and 10 wins. That'd be nice." No, I'm still sticking with 12, and that's whether Gerald McCoy comes or not. But if Gerald McCoy's on this team, you're right. That 12 wins. That becomes.
If your backup is Gerald McCoy, you better win 11, 12 games, and I think they will. You just have too much talent.
Why would he not want to come here? He'd get a little rest. He'd be able to play fresh. He'd be able to get it. Yeah, but he's gonna get a little. He's gonna get paid a little bit here.
Money. And again,
yeah, but you can.
By the way, I don't think.
But you got to balance those three things: staying healthy, making money, and possibly winning a Super Bowl.
But here's the thing.
It's just like powering up your player on Madden. You got to pick and choose.
I know
where you're gonna put your power.
But Jared, and you're right. And God, I love this idea, and how much I love you. The New Orleans Saints could pay him probably a little bit more money and could start him, and they're a Super Bowl contender. The Patriots are a Super Bowl contender, and they could probably pay him. I'm just saying.
Those are the only two teams that I could see him going to besides the Browns, to be honest.
And again, but those are two very realistic possibilities.
I know.
And again,
Screw you for being reasonable.
I know. I'm just being honest.
I know.
All that to be said, we'll have to see how Gerald McCoy plays out. Again, if that really happens, holy shit.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, I'm doing another plug right now. Joe Gilbert put up an article on waitingfornextyear.com. Gerald McCoy and the Browns would be a match made in heaven, so you can check that out.
Pros coming off the bench. Yeah. These are not like, let's look up their names again. No. Gerald McCoy's coming off the bench, guys. Larry Joby's got to come out for a play. Gerald McCoy's coming in.
Yes.
My God,
think of the impact, though. Think of the impact that would have.
Jared, it's so good. All right.
What offensive line is going? Like, what are they going to do? They're already, even without Gerald McCoy, they're worried about who they're going to double up on either side of the ball.
You know what? Gerald McCoy needs rest. Ogunjobi's going to
on other side of the offensive line, rather. Yeah.
It's silly. It's silly. So, and by the way, they're expecting on the outsides Chad Thomas to be playing more this year. The kid out of Miami who didn't play much last year.
I don't think this is going to take very long though for a decision. Do you? Especially because of the time of the year it is, trying to get in with the team. Practice.
Gerald McCoy doesn't need a rush.
You think this is going to take time?
I do.
I think there'll be a decision by next Monday.
If I were Gerald McCoy, I would wait it out because I think you could hold out for more money. And here's the reason why I understand why Gerald McCoy's doing that. He's at the end of his career. You need to get one last big paycheck. And if I were Gerald McCoy, I would hold out for more money. I'm just being honest. In this length of my career, I want to play for a championship. I want to play for rings. I want to play for something special. And I want to get paid properly.
Well, what's keeping Cleveland from doing that since they've already gone all in and went for Odell Beckham Jr.?
Why wouldn't they just pay the guy? Jared, to be fair, we'll see. I don't know.
Maybe because they wouldn't be paying him for long. What are you going to pay him? Are you going to pay him a 2-year, a 3-year?
I would say 2.
A 2 with the option possibly of a 3 or something.
And I would front load it. Yeah,
I'd be front load the hell out of it. Why not? Give him a giant chunk of guaranteed.
Yeah, I would.
Why not? What do we care? Because that money's going to be freed back up after 2 years, after a year or two. So who cares? So there you go. Why wouldn't Cleveland spend the money?
I know. And they have. So to be fair, you know what they have? God, I love Dorsey. He is so fucking cool. All right. So, the other thing.
I know, right?
He's such a fucking cool guy. So Freddie's going. The other thing that I kind of came out.
We don't need wide receivers. Only make 3 plays a game. Sure you don't want Ray back?
You know what the worst press conference was? After the second day with Sashi Brown and those guys explaining all these wide receivers, Jordan Payton, I'm like, I watch a lot of college football. I kind of remember him, but I don't really remember him doing that well. Or Lewis, well, oh my poor kid. Ricardo Lewis, he just got injured again, by the way. He's out for the year for the Dolphins. And you're just like, you're listening to this. I mean, even hell, let's go way back. Muhammad Massaquoi and Brian Rubisky. And it's like, oh man, I saw Muhammad Massaquoi play. He's kind of tiny, right? So like, yeah, this is fun. Look, let's not do that today. This is fun. Freddie, I thought was the other thing that keeps coming to light. Every time I see Freddie Kitchens, I just fall more and more in love with him. In fact, I'm to the point, Jared, where if this hits way I think it could hit, Freddie's going to become a huge star in Cleveland. I think he already is on that path. If you would have asked me before this whole thing started, like, who's your trajectory of stars? I'd be like Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., definitely Myles Garrett. I would have Denzel Ward. I would now have to say it's Baker, it's Odell, and Freddie is right behind both.
Yeah.
I mean, he is going to, I just think he fits in with this city and this town so well. He's easily lovable. I love this background from Parcells, and I love how he grew up through the Alabama system. He just talks the talk, and the thing that really came across with Mayfield in his comments, Freddie isn't changing. Nothing has changed. You got that vibe from his press conference he held last week. It's just tough not being excited about Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, I love Freddie, and again, I'm not going to go back to the Odell stuff, but I got to tell you that even, man, the picking and choosing of the words that Freddie used during that presser and some of the takeaways that some media ran with really pissed me off, considering he really did defend Odell.
Yeah, he did.
And but that's not the takeaway that some of the media ran off with. They ran off with the fact that he was saying he wished he was there. Look, that's no shit. Like,
well,
I get that.
I mean,
but
look,
the point, but I think it was ignored. I think it was ignored that he really defended him, especially in regard to the comments to GQ and wanting to be like the Patriots.
Oh,
and
no
Freddie was
doubt.
like, of course, I want to be like the Patriots too.
No,
and
Freddie's...
and that's because his quote was misconstrued and taken out of context. Odell's.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is where I start to get irritated, where there's the fabrication of stories, where there's this, these contrived headlines that aren't even being honest with the words that are said. They take it and they run with it, and no one's smart enough to stop for 2 seconds, rewind the tape, and actually look at the words that were said. Andy, I don't like it, and that's going to be what pisses me off this season in regard to all of this and this entire team, whether it be local or national media. I know you're going to tell me to get over it. I know.
No, I'm not.
I thought you were going to tell me to take it with a grain of salt.
I would not say that.
I want to get fired up.
For people who are waiting for next year for Jared Watson to get fired up, it only took one podcast. So look, here's the thing I would say about this whole thing. It really reminds me of LeBron James, where LeBron James or Ty Lue or someone else would say, and it would get twisted, and it just, maybe because we lived through that era, I just don't ignore it. I'm sorry, I do ignore it.
I know what it is. Andy, I know what it is. This new era of Cleveland Browns football is like a newborn baby to me. It's like a newborn baby to me. You call that baby ugly, I'm going to beat your face in. I'm not allowing it to happen.
No,
I don't like it right now. And it just hit me. As soon as you said and brought up the LeBron stuff, it hit me. Because with LeBron, I didn't give a shit what anyone said, because I could watch every night on that court. Every night. Right. And I knew what was going to happen. Oh, you got to eat your words? Yeah, there you go. Eat them words. How them words taste? Taste delicious? Yeah, those are good words, aren't they?
Jared's true.
You used to be able to get to do that all the time. And right now, I don't get to do that with the Browns. I'm still waiting. I'm not waiting until next year. I'm not waiting for next year. I'm waiting for this season, because I don't have anything. Again, whoop-de-hell. It's on paper. And I just want, I want that time to come. I want them to all eat their words. And then I'll sit here and I won't care. And I won't defend them, because it'll be natural at that point. It'll be everything that I thought it would be. Right now, it's not there. Right now, it's still a newborn baby, and I am protecting it. That's how I am.
Here's you know, because I say this all the time to you on this podcast. Browns need to exit stage left, get out of the way, and allow summer to come.
Not gonna
because I agree with you. And you know what? It's not going away. I will say the press has not been overwhelming either, but it's definitely these things are I think are gonna keep going because the Browns are a hot team. The last thing to hit on is the 2021 draft is coming to Cleveland. I think that's great. With all the ratings that the city of Cleveland gets for the draft, it makes a lot of sense. There'll be a huge turnout. It's a great win for the city again. And they will do a wonderful job with it, and it will be a wonderful event. In fact, I might go to that.
Well,
I think that'd be cool to see.
Andy, the women's NCAA the tournament is coming to Cleveland in 2024, 2025, something like that. You've got the All-Star game coming. There's such a huge amount of money. They're looking at possibly $100 million or more brought in, more than $100 million just for the draft, just for that draft weekend.
Oh, it's huge.
Isn't that nuts?
It's huge. And there's also, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
LeBron, I believe they averaged bringing in to the city $300 million a year.
Yeah, I mean,
just in the weekend, the NFL draft will bring in.
Yeah, I mean,
more than a third of that.
Look for people. I mean, watch Believe Land. I mean, you can get to so much different things. I hate to quote my own film right off the bat, but
quote your own film. Screw it.
I'm quoting Believe Land. By the way, I got a funny story for you off the record that happened where someone said they did not like Believe Land, and they go, "But didn't you like the film?" I'm like, "Are you fucking telling me that you called me to tell me?"
I thought you said this was going to go off. This is going. We're talking about this now.
I'm going to stop, but yes, that came up this week. I'm like, anything else? It was
somebody got under your skin.
It didn't take much. It's been a bit.
Listen, for anyone who doesn't know this, when you're a creative or you're a filmmaker or anything like that, Andy and I can both tell you, we get a little thin-skinned every once in a while.
Look. I have no problems with notes. I have no problems with educated thoughts. Wait, hold. I don't care about that crap.
Yeah,
but
right.
Here's where I have a problem. I just don't think it's very good. Okay, why? I don't know. All right, well, I don't think I like you. Why? I don't know.
Your face is stupid. Now go away.
Exactly. Say stupid shit. All right. So the draft's coming to Cleveland. You know what? Let's turn up the anxiety and let's talk about the Tribe.
No, God bless. We should have let off with them. I'd feel better.
We should have. But you know what? The Browns again. And by the way, exit stage left. The Browns again. This is my famous line. Should back away from the headlines. We'll see if that happens.
Cleveland Indians.
The Tribe. You know, the last 3 weeks. Win 3, lose 3, right? Well, here we are, one of these situations. Win 3 out of 4 against the Birds. Come back, lose 2 straight. They lost again tonight against the A's. Up and down. Currently, right now, they are 6. They might be 6 behind as the Twins win. It's Tuesday night. So if they lose, they'll be 6 games. That's a lot of games. It's still okay, but it's a lot of games early.
Yeah.
Look, to go through the whole week, when we did our last podcast, as I always like to do, positives and negatives. All right, positives. Lindor's getting hot. He's almost hitting around 300, hitting the ball out a lot more. He is definitely finding his groove.
7 home runs at this point, 15 RBIs, 288 batting average.
Very, very much so. I'm not saying that he's going to be great, but Oscar Mercado can play. He's a good player. He's giving his team energy right now.
Yeah.
It's still early.
Making me wonder why they waited to pull him up.
Boy, you and I, again, that's another podcast we did. I don't know what the fuck they were waiting for on that guy.
I have no idea.
He can play. I mean, again, I'm not saying he's great or he leaps off the page, but he's good. And he can play. Luplo, by the way, we said this. Give that kid credit.
Yep.
Aside from his double play tonight, he's really had a good couple weeks. I mean,
absolutely.
I really want to give him credit. I shit on him, and some other people did.
We both did, because you know what? When we were talking about Luplo with everyone else, it was hard not to. He was just another one of those guys. He was another. Who the hell is this? Is what it was.
So Luplo's playing better. Offensive numbers are up. They're not up dramatically, but they're up. And then Bieber, I thought that was important. I thought Bieber needed that start on Sunday. That was a good start. He needed that. He looked great, felt great. That was good. And again, for people who forget, this is a long stretch of games for the Indians with no days off. They don't have a day off again until June.
Well,
and today's the 21st of May, so they have a long run here without any days off. So getting those starts from Bieber are good, especially with what we just saw from Bauer, and then the day before with Carrasco.
let me throw in one more positive, and that's Clevenger threw another mock game. And
Good point.
And I think
Good
he's
point.
throwing another one this week.
Good point.
He's getting into I know he's throwing another game. I don't know if it's going to be a practice, but he's throwing off the mound. He's doing that. So Clevenger is moving along really, really well.
Sounds like late June. I mean, it sounds like late June right now.
Yeah.
And by the way,
not
they're
even
saying
to mention the Zimmer stuff that we still keep. We're going to have to talk to Mandy again real soon.
Well, Zimmer looks like it's progressing. So I don't know. And when it comes to, I didn't put it in here.
And Santana's still hot.
He's playing well.
Right? I mean, Santana, we thought he was cooling off a little bit, but it looks like he jacked one tonight, man. When he connects, he hit that ball a ton tonight.
No, he's playing. Carlos Santana's having a wonderful year. In fact,
yeah.
He's not there, but he's just cut underneath All-Star. And that's really great for Carlos Santana.
Absolutely.
He's playing out of his mind. Okay.
Yeah, and we can also say Roberto Perez has played a little bit better, too.
Got a head injury tonight. I hope he's okay, but yes, he has been playing better. Okay, now to the the other half.
Yeah.
I have tried to find little positives with Jose Ramirez, and I thought 2 weeks ago I saw a small little progression. Not heavy, not big, but small baby steps back.
Right.
All right, after the Orioles series, he did not play well. He did not look good at the plate. All right, Jared, I am actually now starting to wave the white flag on this.
Yeah, it makes no sense, especially with that Orioles bullpen and with terrible bullpens that we've run into throughout the year. You think that there would be some chances for him to take advantage of certain pitchers and make something happen. And he's still just – look, do you think he's just being too tough on himself? I'm telling you, I guarantee at least 60% of this is mental, if not more.
Jose, it is mental at this point. I thought the Orioles series was alarming because he didn't play well. And the whole offense really clicked on a couple of those games, and Jose did not. It's concerning now to the point where I don't know if there's hope. I'm trying to find hope because we all like Jose as the person. This is the famous line. This is not personal. This is business.
Yeah.
Personally, I love Jose Ramirez. He's a good guy. He does great things for community. As a player right now, he is struggling, and he is bringing down this lineup.
Well,
because
he's doing
you need
it because
him to hit.
He's taken hacks. I watched him take a first pitch swing at a ball tonight that I just, first of all, is he trying to hit it into Lake Erie?
I don't know.
And why? I mean, he just, stop it. Get a base hit. Hit opposite field.
Yeah, he just
make contact.
Yeah, I mean, I just cannot continue to say how much this team could really use a Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
It's a big part of just gotta be honest. It's a big part of this reason why the offensive numbers are slumping.
Yeah.
Because Kipnis right now is hitting second, and really that should be Jose, or Jose should be batting third, and he's not. And it's really hurting this team's offensive numbers because you're expecting that. How could you not after a couple years performance the way he did? Jose's got to. I think the Indians, they've overcome so many things over the last few years, Jared, whether it's Michael Brantley injuries, Carlos Carrasco line drives, a lot of things in 16, some injuries too in 17 at times. Jared, I don't think they can overcome this one.
Well, because he was the pulse. He's the pulse of that.
Yeah, I just don't think they can. I just think he's going to have to.
They're a funner team. Funner. They're a lot more fun. They're a lot more fun when Jose Ramirez is hitting the ball. And I mean that. I just mean that attitude wise. I don't even mean that on the field play wise.
I'm just with Jose. I'm just at a point. I don't know how much more I can hope. I just don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see it happening.
Well, we've talked about this too, that change of scenery stuff. I really hope that's not the case.
I don't know.
Because I don't know that that's his issue right now. I don't think going somewhere else is going to reignite his flame. I think this is something he really needs to get figured out in Cleveland because I don't know that it's going to come back any other place. I just don't. I don't with him.
It's just one of those things where I'm officially at a point where I'm like, I don't have advice, I don't have strategies. He just has to play better. He has to start swinging the ball better, has to do things better.
Yeah.
I have put this, and I know this is Captain Obvious, but you need Trevor Bauer to be your ace. You need Trevor Bauer to do big things. Trevor Bauer has pitched so well the last 2 years, and with the injury going on with Kluber, he is your ace now, so you need him to play well. Bauer's had a bad couple starts. The Baltimore start, I mean, you can't hide it. 7 earned runs in 5 innings, 2 home runs, and he fought
to the Orioles.
To the Orioles, and and by the way, they won that game. So they got Bauer out of that one tonight.
Yes,
I would say better, but still 4 runs in 6 innings.
His ERA is up a run and a half. His home runs, he's given up more home runs. He's throwing, and I looked at this, Andy, because I'm looking again at the stuff that Mitchell Krall put out, and these numbers with what he's doing with his pitches, and it looks like he's throwing a lot more changeups this season in regard to, and that's kind of taken away from his curveball and his slider. He's not throwing a lot of first pitch strikes and getting ahead of guys. And whatever those two things are, that combination of increasing the changeups, and maybe that's because he's not getting the first pitch strikes and he's afraid to throw the benders, which seemed to be he had control problems again tonight with that, because that's how he beamed those guys with breaking balls.
Well, it's funny tonight. Hamilton said on the broadcast that according to the pitch count, at one point, I think it was through 4 innings, he had not thrown a changeup yet.
See, then maybe he's overcompensating back the other way. I don't get it.
I think this is actually a classic sports example, and I think Bauer can handle it. I think this is different for Jose. I think
he's overthinking everything.
Well,
I think he's
clearly.
I think he's overthinking it, and I think he's putting way too much pressure on himself.
Yep.
Because Clevenger's gone. I think when Clevenger comes back into that rotation, that might ease him up a little bit.
Here's where I disagree. I think he is now the ace. And it's different, Jared, when you're pseudo ace. It's different when you are, Kluber and Bauer. This is Bauer. Bauer, you are the leader. You are our ace. You are a number 1.
I'm still.
That's fine. You got to face the facts, my friend. He's our guy, and And by the way, our record shows that because he needs to pitch like an ace, and he can. I think he will. And by the way, he had a great game in Oakland. He pitched wonderfully in Oakland, so he's had moments. And in that game in Oakland, he was nasty. He was very good. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get that Bauer. But it's interesting you said the changeup thing because I read that too. And then I heard Hamilton tonight say, I think it was through 4 innings, maybe three or 4 innings. He's not thrown a changeup yet.
Well, again, maybe that's because he's trying to get control on that curveball and slider. And you watched him beam what's-his-face in the toe twice tonight.
Yeah, Bauer, I think Bauer can do it. But again, I'm a believer in this in sports. When you become the guy in whatever it is, it could be basketball, football, or whatever, the starting quarterback, or maybe you are the lead, whatever. In this case, you are the ace. You are leading this team. It's different. And it sometimes can be a little bit more of a hurdle than what you think. I think Bauer will be fine. I think Bauer will be good. But you can't ignore these last 2 starts. These have not been what you need. And Jared, tonight's an example. You needed Bauer to come through. Coming off a loss, looking at the stretch. And by the way, it isn't like we come off these games and, the Baltimore Orioles are back in town. The Tampa Bay Rays are in town. So it doesn't get easier for the Indians. And then they go to Boston with no break. And then to the South Side. Bauer needed this start tonight. He didn't give it. Hopefully he comes back. I will say at least he went through 6 to save the bullpen a little bit. Again, Jared, Trevor Bauer, I think he'll figure this out. I do. But
I hope so, because Lord knows 3 runs is plenty of runs. Like I'm excited over 3 runs with this offense. So,
yeah.
I mean, they have of late scored more, but
it's better. It's better.
You put up 3 runs. I'll take 3 runs with this pitching staff most nights.
The only thing I'll say is this offense, even with the numbers better, is not flowing still. And I don't know how
there's still
much
moments where there's guys left on. Again, this reminds me of like 4 years ago. I swear I'd have to look back at the numbers. Maybe it's 5 years ago. Maybe it's 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean the year the Kansas City Royals won
2012 to somewhere in between 2012 and 2014, there was a season that felt kind of like this.
I just remember the year the Royals won it in 15. I thought the Indians that whole year were just stop and go, stop and go, stop and go.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of reminds me of here.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
The other thing that I think now that I was not, which I'm not saying I'm worried, but now they're in my mirror, is the Twins. The Twins are playing really good. It's still not Memorial Day weekend, so you still that's the threshold I've always learned in baseball. But the Twins have put a nice lead here together, where Jared, no matter what happens, even through Memorial Day weekend, the Indians are going to have to come back and play some solid baseball at some point to get back and ahead of the Twins. That can obviously happen. But they've now dug themselves into the hole and to the point they're going to have to play consistently. And here's my other last point about the Twins. There's one saving grace or the death nail to this team. They have 16 more games against the Twins.
Yeah, they haven't played. Exactly. That could be the change. And I think if they can pull it within about 3, if they can be back 3 games by the All-Star break, that's not asking a lot until this time. I mean, depending on what kind of run the Twins go on, I don't foresee. I think that if the Indians can consistently take every other series, split the rest, whatever, I think that they can find themselves back 3 at the All-Star break. I'll be able to breathe a little bit.
All I'll say
6 is a lot, though. I'm telling you, if it stays 6 or more at the All-Star break,
oof, boy, it's a lot. Again, the Indians,
right? It's a lot.
The Indians are either going to take advantage, or it's going to really put them underneath the sand, because playing a team 16 times, you have plenty of opportunities to make up that ground. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Before we move on to the Cavs, I have a question for you, and I will answer it too. Sounds like Naquin's getting close to returning.
Yeah.
If he does, who would you sit down? Luplow? Bowers? Would you maybe sit down Mercado? Because one of those guys are going to have to come down.
I already know, and for defense and offensive reasons.
Who would you take out?
I just said defensive and offensive reasons, and that should tell you right there.
I would take out Jake Bowers.
I think Naquin will play better defensively than Jake Bowers will.
I do too. I think
offensively,
I like Mercado. I'm with you. I like Mercado. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's good. And he's playing better than Jake Bowers.
He's playing way better than Jake Bowers, comparatively speaking. Andy, there's no way it's not Jake Bowers. Oh, and I say that because it might not be Jake Bowers.
It's going to be interesting. Naquin's close to coming back. It's going to be interesting to see. I think that
Naquin needs to be in. Naquin was starting to heat up a little bit. Naquin was playing better.
By the way, there's no question. I think Naquin's coming back.
Yeah.
It's who's coming out.
Why would they be so invested in Bowers that they'd cut off their nose to spite their face to prove their point?
And by the way, I'll say this too. I know the numbers are similar. In some ways, Jake has a little bit of advantage. I think Cargo's better than Jake Bowers too at this point. I like Carlos Gonzalez.
Can you platoon Bowers in certain situations, just pinch hit him, see if you can bring. That's where I feel he needs to be at this point.
But the thing is, if you do that, you have to send a relief pitcher down. I just don't. There's no roster spot.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Someone's going to have to go down. I'm being honest. I just don't.
I don't know. Can Bowers catch?
I know, really. That's a good point. Sounds like Roberto Perez might be out. We'll have to see.
I'm dead serious. Can he catch?
I don't know. I'll just say this.
Can he play first base, and can Santa squat again?
Yeah, the combination of Bauer and Bowers has been frustrating at times. And Jake Bowers, again, nice kid. I've seen him get 1 or 2 big hits. I'll be fair. He has done a couple of things, but very little. Very little. And from what I can tell, I think the decision comes down to Luplow and Jake Bowers. But I don't know. I can just see the Indians moving down Oscar Mercado, and I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Let me ask you this then. What kind of move do you feel is possible for the Indians to make if they keep it within 6 or less behind the Twins by the All-Star break.
I'll tell you the biggest decision they're going to have to make, and it's going to be really fucking hard. You can get a rake for Brad Hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get you want to talk about some prospects? I think Brad Hand is pitching so well.
Are
and
you
relief
telling me
pitchers
that we
so
put it
good.
all on Whitgren?
Well, again, I don't know how things shake out, but I know this. If I'm a contending team and I really need a relief pitcher,
Andy.
the Brad Hand would be,
Andy.
he is nasty.
Andy, we've gone down this road of not having
I know
a guy to shut it down at the end.
Jared, I'm just being honest.
Right? We know what it's like to not have a guy with the kunyats to shut it down at the end.
Jared, if I were on the other side because of the injury to Clevenger, the next two guys up are Trevor Bauer and Shane Bieber. Can't trade Kluber, he's hurt.
Yeah, which, by the way, I mean, we've talked about injuries and how that could affect this team over time, and sure enough, here we are. But
I'll tell you, the interesting guy is Brad Hand. The Indians could get an absolute. He's pitching so well, and
but who's going to want him? Teams that we don't want to send him to.
I know, Jared. I didn't say it was nice.
You want to send him to Houston? You want to send him to New York? You want to send him to Boston?
Hell no. I don't want any of that shit. But I'm just telling you that's ahead. Brad Hand, you can get some prospects. All right, let's see you know what? We'll do this podcast, and the Indians won 5 in a row. Okay, let's move on. God, that'd be great, by the way. Mm-hmm. All right, but again, one last point.
Fine by me.
By the way, last point about this is I can't.
Even my daughter, Andy, by the way, my 8-year-old daughter looked at me tonight and said, "Let me know who won in the morning."
That's good.
I've never heard that out of her.
Well,
she was watching on my iPad when I was down here setting up.
Well, I don't blame her. It's tough right now. Here's where I'll leave it at for everybody. Again, the Indians we talked about this, and I want to bring it up again. You have 1 more against Oakland, then you have 4 against Tampa Bay, 3 in Boston, and then you have to go to the South Side with no break. This is a tough stretch for the Indians right now. This is a tough stretch.
Yeah.
Can they get through this, and can they grind it out? Because, Jared, there is a very real possibility that, because in the past with Terry and his teams, this is where we start to really see the mustard of the Indians. Let's see if the mustard comes through here in these next 10 to 12, 13 games.
Ballpark mustard.
God, I hope so. Need some spice in there.
Yep.
Interesting times for the Indians. All right, Cavs.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
So the big thing with the Cavs, which we talked about, so I don't know how much we're going to rehash it. The cool thing, what happened today is Beeline gets announced as the coach. We both love this move. Again, you can look at the history of the NBA with college coaches. Hopefully it's not Tarkanian going to San Antonio. Hopefully it's not Patino going to Boston. Hopefully it's, something where Larry Brown goes into the league. Or hopefully it's something where Brad Stevens goes into the league and coaches the Celtics. That's where you're hoping this is going. I think this move made a lot of sense. I watched a press conference. I thought this could not have gone any better. This did not feel like a team that finished with the second worst record in the NBA. This felt very positive. You could see where things are going. Again, I don't think this move equates to automatic victories. But you as a cat, and I am one, last year was a whole transition year. It was a mess. It was a transition year from LeBron. The rebuild started today with Beeline. It officially kicked off. And I felt good about it. I felt great about it. I thought his comments were very positive. You could tell Jared this wasn't a forced upon job. He wanted it. He wants this challenge, and he likes it. It's hard to get sour grapes on this move. I just think it felt really good, and I loved everything about it today.
Andy, he's not an ego guy. From all accounts that I can read and find, he's not. Here we go again. I'm making the comparison. Freddie Kitchens. I mean, he's cut from that sort of cloth. He doesn't mind asking for help from others. He's a guy that players love to play for. We've
Pure
talked
teacher.
about this.
Yep.
And on top of that, you want to talk about not having an ego. From the word that I'm getting in regard to his meeting with JB Bickerstaff and those two and how they hit it off.
Great point.
And how they hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge because
Agreed.
we know why Bickerstaff was brought in. He's going to be the eventual replacement if all things play out for John Beeline down the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is the Cavs have a plan in place. By the way, we heard the word that fractures the Cleveland community. Altman added he wanted someone who embraced analytics. And it sounds like Beeline's embracing analytics. I don't know if we mind
embrace
as much.
whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. But anyways, I thought that was funny. It's like, oh, analytics. Oh. But no, I think that's a good thing. By the way, the Indians use more analytics than most teams do in sports, so it isn't like we don't have analytics in Cleveland. But anyways,
no, it's not analytics that's screwing the Indians over right now. It's not spending money. Oh,
no,
but whatever.
We just we turned the page on the Indians. They're going to win 5 in a row. They'll be fine. But Beeline, I think this was a good field day moment. I'm very happy for the Cavs because at the end, I was very, very left wondering what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I really see a plan. I like the plan. Again, the only thing that I will not say is this is going to guarantee this, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Moves like this in the NBA have failed. But I like this. I think this is the correct move. I will never say this was the wrong decision. I think this was the right move. Whether it's good result or bad, I like it. I liked how Beeline came off. And I just think this is a feel-good thing. And I think it's going to make the Cavs better. I do.
I agree wholeheartedly. I honestly think if they hadn't made this move and the Cavs pulled that number 5 pick in the lottery, I probably would have been a little more upset.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, great point too. This definitely, you know what? I hate to steal your thunder, but it takes a little sting off the number 5. Absolutely.
It just does. It
absolutely.
does.
Great point.
And because we also know that let's be real about this, Andy. There's a chance that we're right back in this lottery hunt again next season. As painful as that might be, that's a possibility, right?
Well, look, I mean, okay, so now moving away from Beeline and getting before, let's get to the draft last. The big decisions on the table outside that draft are, what do you do with Tristan Thompson?
Yeah.
When does J.R. Smith get moved? And I guess I should add a third, so there's 3. And then, do they trade Kevin Love? Because if you were to trade Kevin Love, I think this would be the year to do so.
See, I think they won't. I don't think they're going to move Kevin Love until next year. I don't think Kevin's going to move this year.
We'll see.
We talk about the business side of these things. I really think that knowing Dan, I have a feeling he's going to want to keep Kevin so that fans have some reason to put their butts in the seats.
By the way, I think that's all fair point. And by the way, I am one of the, and it is,
but I think it's up. I think it's up next season. I think that's it. I think this coming season is it until they make that change. Because I think that if he thinks that this is not, that next season is not the turnaround, the next season is part of the development, that Kevin Love is a part of helping out with that development, on top of helping get butts in the seats. I think Tristan Thompson is gone. I think that we bring in younger players. I think that you keep Beeline. I think that him and Bickerstaff come up with implementing whatever system they want to do. I think that Kevin Love has his buy-in, and then he sails off into the sunset with his 2016 championship ring after this next season. I think that's how things will go down. I don't even know if J.R. Smith is ever going to play basketball again at this point in my mind.
We'll see. Well, I mean, we'll see.
But again, I'm not even worked up about this, which is why I find it even more frustrating when I have to get into arguments with people that want to act like the Cleveland Cavaliers are a dumpster fire. Those words were used, and I don't like that because not because it's my Cleveland Cavaliers, but because it's not the case. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at a team that was depleted of talent
Look,
and injury-ridden.
Well, right. Here's what I would
following
say
LeBron's
too.
leaving.
If you want to argue, hey, they lost a lot of games, hey, you're right. And
Yeah.
that's what a dumpster fire is, and then it's a dumpster fire. I don't think that's the definition
That's
of
not a dumpster
fire.
fire.
What's going on in LA is a dumpster fire.
Yes.
But what's going on with the Cavs, it's strung out organizationally. They have a plan. That's all you can ask for. You can see it now, and they're going in this direction.
And
With
as soon
Kevin-
as there's smoke, Dan will pour gasoline on that.
Well, here's my last point about all this with Kevin Love, is I'm a big Kevin Love supporter, and I've gotten scorned for going on radio shows and defending him. The only thing about Love is twofold here. One, I think this is the highest year you can get the best value back. Two, he has never been fully healthy.
But that's why I don't think you're going to get all that great value.
Well, no, I think you can right now. Okay. And here's the thing. Will he play 50 to 60 games? I hope so. And by the way, if he plays 50 or 60 games, I don't think I want to trade him. But will he play 50 or 60 games? I don't know. I hope so. Question mark? You know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think that his only purpose on this team at this point is to be supportive of whatever Beeline's doing and getting butts in the seats.
And by the way, I think he will. I think Kevin Love will actually.
I don't think that's not a bad job for him either.
By the way, I think he will thrive in Beeline's system. In fact, Beeline, usually with players like Kevin Love, they excel.
Right.
Whether it's Pittsnoggle, whether it's all these other tall guys that don't come to mind from Michigan to play through the system. Matthews, the kid last year. These guys thrive in these systems. I think he will thrive in Beeline's system. I think he will love it. So that's the temptation, too. I mean, look, I don't think there's a right answer with this one with Kevin Love.
Yeah.
I think it's
think Tristan Thompson's got to go.
That's different. I think
he's
different.
gone.
And by the way,
Especially because you got Larry Nance Jr. at this point.
Yeah,
I just don't see.
Yeah,
I don't see the value added.
By the way, I think it's better for Tristan too. I think a fresh start.
Yes, and I definitely don't mean that in a bad way.
No, I love Tristan. He was a huge part of this organization, but being honest, I think it might be good for him too.
Yeah.
All right, this lottery thing in number 5. Here's where I come out on this, and Jared and I, you and I talked about this off. Even if we did this the night of, I would say this. This is the way the lottery ball bounces.
Yep.
We got it the year we needed to in 2014. We got Andrew Wiggins. That was the move that allowed us to trade and get Kevin Love in, which brought us a championship, okay? So the lottery ball bounced that year. It didn't bounce our way. It bounced 5. It did not help that the Lakers draft 4. That is really annoying. That annoyed me. But, getting a 5th overall pick, I agree with what Beeline said. It's number 5. We'll get a great player and let's move forward. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, that's the way you got to look at it. Now,
well, yeah, and I got to say, too, I don't mind the Pelicans getting the 1. I actually
I
was
don't either.
happy for them, if that's okay to say as a Cavs fan.
Yeah,
I thought that was good for them.
No, I do too. Here's my 3 things that come out of the lottery that do drive me crazy. Number 1, it does not help tanking. In fact, it enforces it more, because if you're a middling team that's battling for the 8th spot, you may be more inclined to go into
I don't think anyone's
lottery.
mentioned this, Andy, that more teams want to tank.
Hey, why not? You can win the lottery. So I think
all of you can get a chance as opposed to just one of you.
Well, I don't think it helps tanking at all.
That makes so much sense that no one's ever going to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just think that is, I think that's a big problem too. The lottery has turned way too much into a sideshow. I do not find it fascinating to find out where these lottery balls go, and it needs to get back to worst team drafts first, all the other teams draft last. And number 3, when your lottery viewing, buzz, everything gets more attention than a Western Conference final game, the NBA has a problem. And it did. And this is going to be the wrap up thing we're going to do. This whole thing of off the court stuff The Warriors, yes, it was an exciting game, I guess, and Curry went off, but is that surprising? I just think these, and we
a triple-double look, and Draymond Green got a triple-double look. I don't need to ever hear about Draymond Green getting a triple-double ever again in my life. I just don't.
Yeah, I just think all this stuff is, I heard Tony Rizzo go off on it, and I kind of agree with Rizzo. You know, the NBA, it's kind of, ugh. I mean, I'll be honest, Jared, and I like watching the playoffs. Raptors Bucks, I've kind of been into at times. I liked it. I did not watch tonight because I was watching the A's game, but I've been into that. And by the way, it's going to go 2-2 back to Milwaukee. But the Warriors Blazers.
Oh, I had a guy ask me. I had a guy ask me. I was standing in line grabbing a coffee today, and he says, "Did you watch the overtime?" I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "Look. 1, I'm a bitter Cavs fan. 2, I'm not watching any of this garbage until the Warriors, until that's over with." Andy, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Until this changes, this, and it's only going to change over time, because I don't think that there's any rules. We've already seen it. We can go back to the rules that they try to implement to avoid teams tanking, right? It doesn't work. I don't know how many rules you can put in place to try to keep a legitimate team with 5 starting all-stars.
And by the way, it happens in every sport. It's happening now in baseball. Finally, it's been happening in the NFL too. If you don't think the Cardinals really didn't give a shit at some point last year about winning, I mean, come on, the Cardinals did not really give a full blasted effort into last year. They got the number 1 pick in the NFL. This year, I've seen, last year especially, and years before, and the Astros kind of hinted at it, there was tanking going on so they can get draft picks. Look,
when you have teams like the Warriors that exist, the only thing that makes sense for anyone else is to wait it out.
That's right. And by the way, for how much I can't stand the Warriors, and I can't stand them, in fairness, they drafted Curry in the middle of the first. I'm not in the middle, but in the top 10, and it wasn't in the top 5. And Draymond Green was a very late pick. They did their fucking homework and they hit the home runs.
No, you're right.
That's why, I always will say, look, for everything I can't stand about that fucking team, look, they made the right selections, and they got Thompson, who they drafted, and they made a ridiculous deal for Iguodala, which was a big deal in 15, as we all know. Mm-hmm. So look, they made the deals to put them in this position. But yeah, if I'm being honest, I coming out from a sports fan. Did I think the Blazers had a chance? Hell no. That's why the lottery got more buzz.
Why does anyone give a shit until 3 years from now?
And by the way, I got to be honest with you. I always thought, I don't know how you felt growing up. Even the year the Suns played the Bulls, I thought the Suns might have a chance.
Yes.
Even the years with the Jazz and the Sonics, no. But the years the Jazz played the Bulls, I thought the Jazz might have a chance. I hate saying this.
I thought the Cavs had a chance.
Yes. Yes. In 92, yes. Here's the thing about Raptors and Bucks. They're playing for second place. I'm so sorry. They might win a game, maybe 2. That's what we're looking at.
What does that speak to, Andy, when we talk about the talent level in the NBA and that one team could be so lopsided? I don't, could you even make that happen in other leagues? I mean, you can make that happen in baseball, right? You can make that happen in baseball.
Well, baseball,
you can overload offensively. You can grab individual pitchers. You can make that happen in baseball.
Hey, your minor league system, as you and I know.
But we also know how long the season is, and so that plays into it a little bit too. Not that the NBA season is shortened,
well,
but you can't do that in the NFL, and you certainly can't do it in the NHL.
No, I will just say this about this whole NBA thing, and this is where I just did not feel this. I did not feel with the Bulls. I never felt that way with the Spurs, the Pistons, any of these teams in recent history. I never felt this way with the Celtics in the 80s. I never felt this way with the late 80s with the Pistons. And definitely throughout the 80s with Showtime Lakers. You always felt that there's equal competition. Right now in 2019, it's the Warriors or bust. I just don't. Is it
lightning
once.
In a bottle, or is it just the consolidation of power?
Twofold. twofold. And Adam Silver brought it up today in an article. So go to yahoo.com. I don't want to steal their thunder. And I guess he was interviewed on Today's show too, that losing LeBron to the West has really hurt the league. And here's the other thing that they're going to have to really think about in this offseason. Your number 1 and 2 draft picks are going to 2 more Western Conference teams.
That's a talent and coaching issue in my mind.
Well, it is. I'll say
because think about this, Andy. This is a league where you're looking at guys that the elite players in this league, do they answer to coaches the same way that anyone else does in any other league? I don't think they do.
No, I'll say this too. I'll say this too. It reminds
so
me
when you take the power away in that sense, or when coaches are afraid to coach the way that they want to coach, or where there's no, when you're talking about a system being implemented versus ISO ball, right? I mean, there's 2 very different ways of looking at the game. And one way you can do it when you've got elite shooters. I just feel like there's something that we're missing here, because I don't understand how there's that much talent on one team and a lack of talent everywhere else in the league.
Well,
sparse next to, 1 or 2, a player on this team, a player on that team. It just doesn't make sense.
But here's the thing. It does. Kevin Durant going to the Warriors messed everything up.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm being honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, we knew that was.
If he stays in Oklahoma City, I hate to do this, and I don't want to make this into another 20-minute podcast. You got to wonder if LeBron never leaves Cleveland. Because I always got the vibe that Cavs would have won at least one more championship head-to-head with, because that was becoming a rivalry. But as soon as you add a Kevin Durant it's like Gerald. Look, it's not. Look, wash my mouth out.
It's not like that because again, the NFL.
I know, Jared. I said wash my mouth.
Sunday.
I know, Jared. I said just wash my mouth out. I caught myself. I had a brain fart.
I know what you're getting at.
I've been eating
but that
raisins
was my
all
earlier
day.
point.
It's been a long day. Look, here's the thing, though. If once the Warriors got Kevin Durant, that's why everybody said, "Well, oh shit, it's over." And by the way, that's why when you hear again, we said in the last podcast, Kevin Durant gets hurt. You shrug your shoulders. You're like, I feel bad for Kevin Durant, but that's not going to stop the Warriors. Warriors are a machine. By the way, Iguodala didn't play. Warriors are Boogie Cousins didn't play. I mean, look, the Warriors are a machine. They can sit there and deny and deny and deny. Even the Bulls, they had cracks in the armor a little bit. I don't see cracks in the armor. Oh, Boogie Cousins gets out. Oh, no, Corey's got the... I mean, again, it's just so silly. It's like, well, Curry went off for 30. Of course he did. You know why? He finally had to. He could always do it. It wasn't ever a question. That's why I love people. I can't believe he went for 30 points. Oh, come on. Get the fuck off. Come on. Of course he did. He's Steph Curry. He's a great player.
Yeah, do people not realize that when they don't have games like that, it's because they don't fucking need to?
Look, when I'm in a creative room and Ron Howard walks in and so does George Lucas, you know what I say? Hey, let me put my feet up. What do you want me to do? I'm here for you. Look, when you get Kevin Durant on your team, your workload goes down. And again, the draft.
Well, the only thing I would ask you to do is say no to Jar Jar Binks, Andy. That's it. Other than that,
that's another podcast. But look, here again, I'll just wrap it up with this whole thing with the Warriors.
Even the best make mistakes.
Yes. This is, in my era of watching sports, the Bulls were outstanding. The 49ers were a machine with Montana and Rice, and really continued on through Young. The modern-day Patriots, the Warriors are right there with any of those clubs.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe that goes back and negates everything I said in the beginning of this conversation, which was, does this happen in any other league?
Yankees in late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Yankees in late 90s, Warriors, Niners in the 80s and in the 90s, even with Steve Young. Patriots, I would even say Spurs you can throw in there. But these are the team, the Patriots we mentioned. I don't think the Cowboys.
Do you try to load up or and take your swing, or do you just wait it out?
I thought
In the NBA, it seems like waiting it out is the way to go.
Well, here's the thing that we'll all be waiting to see. If Kevin Durant really leaves town. Because if he leaves town, then what I just said finally ended. The 3-year run is now over. Once he leaves, Iguodala's a year older. Everybody's a year older. You can start finding little cracks. But if he comes back and Boogie Cousins, he's back to, I don't know, folks. I don't know. But all that to be said, that's what's making this a yawning experience. Because again, Raptors Bucks, I've been watching those games. They've actually been pretty good. It's been fun to watch. This is the first fun NBA series I'm watching is Raptors Bucks. It's a fun series, okay? It's fun. It doesn't fucking matter. They're not going to win.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's a movie that you've already. It's like
doesn't matter.
It's like you've already seen. Already seen the third installment, but you're watching part 2 anyways because even though you already know what happens.
You just put your hands up there. I don't think it fucking matters. I mean, truthfully, like I just don't know what else to say. So that is that. Well, maybe we should wait for the next podcast. This has been our waiting for next year, interlude. I have many more thoughts, but maybe I'll wait till next year.
Yeah,
by the way,
this ran off a little bit more than we expected to, but I'm fine by that because we haven't had a show like this in a while.
So the Kareem Hunt week finally came to an end.
Yeah,
I thought that was a good thing. Freddie Love keeps continuing. Gerald McCoy watch. We went through the Indians as a tough stretch for the Tribe. I'm finally even waving the flag on Jose Ramirez. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see this turning around. Trevor Bauer needs to become the ace of this team like he can be. He is the ace. He needs to pitch like it. It's really needed on this club. I will start this rumor. I will be interested to see. I have no inside sources on this, but I'll be interested to see if the Indians really blink on maybe a Brad Hand trade because I think he can get traded for big things. The Cavs, I like where they're going. I think it's great stuff. We talked about the NBA. I want to end on this one point with the Tribe. This is in the past where the mustard on this team has always shown up. And Francona is a wonderful manager. He's one of the best in the game. Let's see what the Tribe has made up because I'll tell you their backs are to the wall and it's late May. So there's plenty of time. This is usually when Francona does his magic. Let's see if he can get his magic wand out and get this thing running again.
Yeah, I hope they feel the heat.
I think they do. I think they do on their faces.
I know Andy and I feel the heat now that we're a part of Waiting for Next Year, waitingfornextyear.com.
Heat of excitement.
We're super stoked to be a part of Waiting for Next Year. And so thanks to those guys. And you'll be able to find our podcast on waitingfornextyear.com coming up soon. I'm not sure how all the cross promotion is going to work. We haven't really hammered out all those details. Got a couple of emails that I didn't respond to yet because I've had a crazy busy day, as Andy and I both have seemed to have a lot lately, which I don't know. Maybe we should just stop even saying it, and it's just assumed at this point. Again, let's do the rundown. AndyandJared.com, ClevelandandBeyond.net. You can find the podcast on both those pages. Also, you can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and go ahead and ask your Echo device because Alexa should go ahead and play this podcast as well. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. Also, follow us on Twitter at CLE and Beyond and on Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and Beyond. That was a lot there, Andy.
Take a quick breath. And as you do that quick breath, I can never end a show properly. I will, throughout the summer, do more picks for baseball. I have not done it. My under and over so far, I'm very excited about. You can check them out on our blog. And by the way, I took the Rays. They're over right now. It's betting against me, but I took the A's over as well. They're looking good. And my 2 unders are both the teams with birds, Blue Jays and Orioles under. I like it.
You know what else is looking good? My bed. Take care, everyone.
I have so much more gambling advice, but we'll wait till the next episode.
Talk again soon. Take care.